Hello and good morning. This is a wonderful day. Today's Tuesday, and you have joined me, Taz, for Taz Talk. So today we're going to talk about overwhelm. And I want to ask you something. I want to ask you, do you feel like you have so much going on that you're struggling to cope? Are you going through something stressful and it's making things difficult to function? It just feels like there's all these things going on and you can't focus. These are some of the signs of overwhelm. I'm Coach Taz, and this is Taz Talk. And today we're going to take about 5 or 10 minutes and we're going to talk about feeling overwhelmed. So what is overwhelm? What is it? What does it feel like? What are some of the causes of overwhelm? Look at overwhelm from the standpoint of too much to do, because there's a lot of different types of overwhelm, and we have 5 to 10 minutes. So we're not going to go into all of them. We're going to look at one specific type of overwhelm, and we're going to give you some strategies on what you can do to kind of overcome that and to gain control and your focus back. So that's what we're going to cover today. And this is our first in a series called Stop It. And today we're going to cover overwhelm. In the Stop It series, we're going to explore different behaviors that interfere with your quality of life. Because what we want to do is live an inspired life. We want to have fun. We want to, get the most done in the least amount of time, so we have time to have fun and spend time with the people we love, with ourselves, with our family, with our friends. And I hope you noticed I mentioned ourselves first, because we want to start there. That's where love begins, is with ourselves. So there's a lot to cover today. So let's jump in. Let's talk a little bit about stress, and that's caused from overwhelm. And it can show up in your physical body, your emotional body, and right here in your mind. So some stress is good. It causes resistance. It helps us to grow and expand. We go out to these liminal limits. And stress can give us that little edge to help us grow, expand our experiences, our spiritual awareness. But we're not talking about that kind of stress. We're talking about the kind of stress that causes dysfunction, that causes you to shut down, that impacts the quality of your life. So it might be a little bit of overwhelm, or it might be a lot, but there's something you can do about it. So let's talk a little bit about overwhelm and what it feels like in your body. I think most of us have experienced overwhelm at some point in time. You might notice or experience irrational thoughts, a skewed perspective. The problem may seem bigger than it is, or bigger than what you're able to deal with. There might be paralysis, right? Where you just can't get started. You know you have something to do and you just can't start. It's just there. It could be the dishes in the sink and they've kind of piled up. And you're like, oh my gosh, I know I need to do them. I want to do them and I just can't start. And so that kind of feeds this whole cycle of like feeling like things are out of control, and it can cause you to not be able to function in a little bit or in a big way. You could have a freeze response. You could have disproportionate reactions when you're feeling overwhelmed and you need to go somewhere, and now all of a sudden you can't find your purse, or you can't find your keys, or you can't find your shoes, or you're like, and it just, you get this sense of panic. You may withdraw. You may stop inviting people over. You might stop socializing because it's just too much. There may be shame or guilt around it. Why can't I handle this? Why can't I, get this thing done? I said I was going to clean my garage, and it's just like, And then you think, well, there must be something wrong with me. And really, it's just your perspective has just gotten a little bit bent and disproportional. Stress and from overwhelm can cause you to be pessimistic. You could have mood changes. You could have cognitive fatigue. There's just so much going on, and you can't make one more decision. So those are some of the things that can happen, along with like physical symptoms, right? You could have dizziness. You could have a rapid heartbeat. You could have difficulty thinking or breathing, or you could have headaches. You could just feel like, oh, I can't take it anymore. Calgon, take me away. That's a little old reference there. But anyway, let's keep going. What are some of the things that can cause overwhelm? Now, today we're going to talk about one area in particular, but I want to cover a little of these because there's so many. Loss of a loved one. You could have excessive workload, or you could have a stressful work environment. I mean, let's face it, that can be pretty grim if your boss is less than kind. Okay, conflict in personal relationships or breakups, financial problems, health concerns, traumatic experiences can cause overwhelm. There can be emotional factors. There can be environmental factors. Political issues can cause overwhelm. The things that you hear through your ears, they come into your heart, and they can cause the sense of overwhelm in the body, and that can really kind of cause everything to go a little haywire. So any kind of major life change can also cause a feeling of overwhelm. Other things that are important to note is having a mental health condition such as depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, or you could have obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. So these things might contribute to feelings of overwhelm. Now, if that's the case, that you really want to go and seek help with a mental health professional and really get the support, more intense support to kind of help lift you up and help deal with some of those things that are kind of adding to perhaps some of the things that are in your environment. But in all of these cases, regardless of the source of the overwhelm, seek support. And so today, what we're going to talk about is one particular type of overwhelm, and that comes from having too much to do. You've got too much going on. So regardless of what's going on, you're going to want to get some support. So let's get into it, because I know we're kind of getting there to our time here. So regardless of what causes the overwhelm, we want you to get some support. And let's go ahead and look at 4 things that you can do if you feel overwhelmed because there's too much going on. First thing you can do is pause. Don't underestimate the power of the pause. Okay, so when you feel overwhelmed, you can feel like things are just closing in on you. So stop and just kind of pause, look around, catch your breath, and then come up with a strategy of what you're going to do. Okay, sometimes all you need to do is take that pause and then look around and then just take that first step. Don't worry about the whole thing. Take a small bite. Another thing you can do, number 2, breathe. You want to take a breath, because sometimes when you feel all this overwhelm, you feel panic, there's a deadline coming, you start to clench. So what you want to do is breathe in and breathe out. That breath with the combination of the power of the pause are 2 things that can bring immediate sense of calm. It'll open up the space around you energetically, and it'll allow you to breathe, okay, energetically, but also physically. Okay, so the third thing you can do is you can ground or shift your focus. And I'm going to give you a technique here that you can do, and I call it the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. So you want to find a place where you can sit quietly, and you're going to try and make a list in your mind. You can write it down if you want to. I find writing very therapeutic and also transformative. It takes me to a focused state. So when you're overwhelmed and you've got what I call monkey mind going on, you want to bring that in and you want to focus. So make a list. 5 things that you see, okay? 4 things you can touch or feel. 3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell, and then list 1 thing you can taste. Because we all know taste, but I just wanted to touch my tongue there. So that's an exercise that you can do, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which will help just calm your energy, ground you down, bring you a sense of focus. Now, the last thing, and this is really powerful, is evaluate the situation. You're dealing with overwhelm. There's so much to do. You don't know where to begin. You're like, wah! You got monkey mind going on. Okay, you're going to want to prioritize, you're going to want to delegate, or you're going to want to eliminate. It's those 3 things. Very, very simple. So prioritize. Prioritize what's important. Not everything is urgent. So don't act on everything like, ooh, find out when you have to get it done. What needs to be done first, and when does it need to get done? Now, it may be that you're doing too much, so you may want to scale back. Avoid the urgency trap, right? So do the most important things first, and try not to get distracted. Eliminate your distractions, and everything isn't urgent. So if everything you've prioritized and everything seems like, oh my gosh, it must get done, then you're going to go to number 2, and that's delegate. Find someone who can help you get some things done. Get some support for yourself. The first steps we were talking about was about supporting yourself. Pause, breathe, do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to get focused and grounded. But now you may need to get some support outside of yourself. So that's where you delegate. The other thing, the last thing, and this is really important, and this goes to not everything is urgent and not everything is a priority, and that is eliminate. Does it really need to get done? You need to ask yourself that. Ignore the items that are unimportant. I'll say that again. Ignore the items that are unimportant. And learn how to say no. No, 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 no. Not like that, but you get what I mean. Sometimes the things you say no to are as important as the things you say yes to. Okay, so the next time you feel overwhelmed, take a moment to pause, reframe your perspective, breathe. You might want to ground and focus with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then evaluate. You want to prioritize, delegate, or eliminate the things that you can eliminate that aren't important. That wraps up our discussion today. I wanted to keep it brief. I went a little bit over my 10-minute goal. But thanks for listening, and let us know if you found the conversation useful. Feel free to, post in the comments. Next Tuesday, we'll be exploring procrastination and how you can kick it to the curb once and for all. We may go about 15 minutes because trial and error, I'm finding my 5 to 10 minutes just didn't cut it. But with love in my heart, I'm sharing with you. This is Taz Talk. And until next time, this is Coach Taz. I'm Coach Taz saying have fun, get inspired, and cultivate curiosity. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Have a beautiful week. Bye-bye.